for joining us for another edition of On the Couch. Today, my guest is Tim Flegel with RFC Powersports here in Rolla, Missouri. Tim, thanks for being with me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
I am really excited. You know, I'm a big kid at heart, so what you do is wonderful. I just get so excited about RC stuff or remote control.
Yeah, who doesn't like it? It's always a lot of fun.
If I was still just as good as like these 14-year-olds that can grab the stuff and just take off, the learning curve's a little high for me, but I appreciate you being with me today.
Thank you.
And we want our viewers to get to know a little bit about you and what you do, and then also we want to be able to hear more about your toys and the things that you do.
Oh, sure.
The big toys, the big boy toys. That's it.
There you go. Yeah.
So with that, are you? I know you're a family guy. I met your wife.
Yeah.
And you're from here in Rolla.
Sure am. Actually, I went to high school in St. James. Grew up on a farm between Rolla and St. James. Lived there my whole life. Lived here my whole life. Went to school over here when it was called UMR. My dad, he went to school there when it was called Missouri School of Mines back in the 50s. So we've been here for a while. Actually, I graduated high school in St. James back in 1979, which is several lifetimes ago. And then now I went to school up here at UMR, and then I drove a truck. That's what I did for most of my life, was driving a truck, and I had a lot of fun with it. Finally retired from that, so I thought, well, I've got to have something else to do, and here I am with a hobby store.
Well, that's, I think that, I was in St. Louis the other day, and I went by a hobby town down there on, I think it was on Manchester, someplace down there. But, when I think about it, there really aren't a lot of hobby stores. Once you get out past Pacific, there's just nothing around here, is there?
No, there's not. Unfortunately, there's just no money to be made in a hobby store. But
been there, done that.
But it's a great deal of fun. I mean, we just love it. I mean, who doesn't? Well, let me rephrase that. How many people get up, go to work in the morning, and play with toys all day long? That's all I do. They don't have a real job. It's a lot more fun.
That's it. That's it. And I know when we were, years ago, when we were doing similar to what you were doing, the idea is if we could break even, and at the end of the day, we were pretty happy. That was what,
exactly.
That I got to have fun and break even. That was it.
Yeah, it's kind of where it still is that way.
Well, that's it. Well, so now I know you and your family. You got kids?
Yeah, sure do. I have a daughter who's 32, and I have a son that is, I think, 26 years old.
There you go. They live around here?
Oh, yeah. My son still lives at home. He's had 2 traumatic brain injuries. Thank God he's still with me here. He's my right-hand man. He does a lot of legwork for me of things I need to have done. My daughter helps me with some of the marketing. Very intelligent little young lady. And so she's been a very big asset for me also as well. And of course I have my wife. She actually works at the hospital here, Phelps County Regional Medical Center. She has been there for 35 years, I believe.
Oh wow,
She is a registered psychiatric nurse.
Well, she has to use her skills with you, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it really comes in handy, I'll tell you.
Well, I've met her before because I know that sometimes if she's not working over there, then she helps you out in the store.
Yeah, she comes by the store a lot. She works over at the hospital, like I said, and then on Mondays and Tuesdays when she gets off early, which we consider early at 3 o'clock, then she'll come by the store and hang out if she wants to. If she doesn't have anything better to do, she'll come by and see me.
There you go. That's neat. So when did you start the RFC Powersports as a business?
It was actually 2 years ago, and it was an interesting kind of concept. I started this business 2 years ago. We had another store, and then we had this store. The other store wasn't profitable. I was hoping this store would be profitable. And if nothing else, at least it was a fun place to come into. I couldn't get enough of it. So we closed the other store, we sold it, and now that I have this store, when we started it off, I was selling just cheap, basically toys, and so I saw really quickly that I needed to get into the hobby grade items. And so now that I'm into the hobby grade items, the whole world of the whole dynamics shifted. It's a lot different, and it's a much, it's a much more pleasant experience. And I know this is going to come around and bite me, but our customer base are just great people. They're normal, fun, really neat people to be around. I mean, I have a lot of friends coming there all the time, and our whole customer base is like that. So yeah, it's a great thing.
Well, I know that when we talk about what you have things for kids.
Yes.
But you also have, it's really more geared towards, like you say, the hobby class, more of an adult or an older kid. There's not a lot of items for a 5-year-old. There are some, but more are going to be kids that are able to hand and eye coordination, being able to think about what they're doing and not tearing up their toys.
Well, yeah, exactly. They have the cars and trucks that we sell are fast. They're not the children's toys anymore. We as we talked about earlier, you think, and I hate to use this term, but if you look at online toys and there's some of those, you really don't know what you're getting. Some of those are just slow. They're not fun. And then you'll get into some of the stuff that we have, and I have so many people that are surprised. Our low-end stuff would do 30 miles an hour, and we have them that go as high as over 100 miles an hour, and that's true miles per hour. That's not scale miles per hour. That's a real actual speed.
Yeah.
And they're dangerous. I mean, those are fast.
Yeah.
And that's just in the cars and trucks lines, and then of course, we have all the airplanes and helicopters and quadcopters and things like that.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more in depth about some of those in a few minutes with that. Who's your perfect kind of a customer then? What's age, gender? What's a perfect customer or the customers that you have?
That's a good question. When you're referring to demographics, that would be anyone from, say, probably 6 years old to 90 years old. There's something for everyone. It doesn't just have a very specific, narrow age group. It's like there's a whole world of stuff out there. It's so cool. And I haven't met anyone yet that didn't come in and say, that is really neat. There are so many things that are radio controlled. And now they've gotten so much better, than what they used to be.
Well, I know when our boys were growing up, we had cars and we had trucks. We had, I had a plane, but I always crashed it, so we never got to fly it. I get it fixed, fly it, and crash it. That's just the way it went. We had a boat. We got a big hydroplane that will take off across the lake at 40, 50 miles an hour, maybe faster than that. I don't know,
Yep.
but it was fast. And so, yeah, we were kind of into all of those different things, electrics and gas. But now, when I look at the technology and stuff now of the things, there's so much better. There's so much more high tech, and that's really kind of a really neat thing because that's what sets you apart, I think, from just going to some of the box stores and things like that.
Right.
Those serve a purpose.
Yes.
And if Grandma wants to get something for her grandchild, and they just want to just give them something just to have a good time. There you go. They could go play with that.
Well, exactly. If you're on a budget and you don't have a lot of money to spend, maybe you're better off going in that direction.
But if you want it to last, then then that's when you get more into your hobby class.
Right.
I know that you go. I'm down at Branson walking through, and they have all kinds of these kiosks with stuff in them.
Yeah.
And I always thought, I wonder how good those are, and they may be a higher level. I don't know. But they're there,
right?
And the idea they want somebody to just come in there and just blow a quick $50, $60,
exactly,
on something like that, and that's kind of their focus.
Well, for those, they're all about profit, and we actually have a sincere desire to be sure our customers are happy. We do what we can, everything within our power to make sure they have a pleasant, fun experience with our products.
Well, and that's it. And plus, you're there to service them on the later.
That is correct.
And that's that's kind of some of the things we're talking about. I know in just a few minutes I want to talk more about how the industry has changed over the past few years.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Who makes the stuff, what kind of things that you have, as far as how do you control stuff. I know, again, the quadcopters, sometimes you get controllers. Sometimes you play it off your iPhone.
That's true.
Yeah. And this happens to be one that you can use an iPhone. You don't have to buy a controller.
Yeah, sell those as well, yes.
And I know, you sell those over there. This happens to be one that we use here at the studio to do stuff. But, You know, as I say, we have the rings on it. We have the training wheels on it because you got to have those. It's actually made for indoors, so you don't bump
Those
into
are prop
walls.
guards, exactly.
But if you get outside, they don't work so good because the wind catches them and it takes off on you.
Yeah, it's like a big parachute.
That's it. But those are kind of some of the things that like I said, I want to talk about how the industry has changed from, say, when you were a kid and you saw, you got the Sears Roebuck catalog and it said you could get a remote control car.
Oh, yeah.
And it has a big antenna coming out of it. And how the industry has changed from that focus to what you're selling over at your store. Why don't you tell me a little about, when we come back from the break, about how we do the way the motors themselves have changed from what we used to have, and we'll come back after the break. And so just a minute, be sure to come right back after the break. Join us on Fidelity on the Couch, and today with Tim Flegel, RFC Powersports.